In this video, I'm going to talk about retainers, why you should use them, and how it's going to benefit you and your client. So first of all, what is a retainer? Basically, a retainer is like a subscription, but I know people don't like that word, so I'm not going to use it. There are a lot of designers out there who are offering subscription models. There's some different opinions on that, whether that's good or bad, but basically what they've done is they've just repackaged something that agencies and creative people have been using since people have been offering creative services. It's not a new concept. What a retainer is a package of your services that a client buys up front and that they can use over a period of time. So typically what an agency will do, and I'm going to use the example of a development agency and a website because I feel like it is a really good example to show what a retainer is. Basically, when you create a website for a client, that website is going to need maintenance. And it's not just about the client coming to you and being like, oh, we want to add this feature and you adding that feature. No, sometimes the technology that it is built on needs to be updated on a regular basis. And obviously you're not going to offer that for free. Don't offer it for free. Seriously, don't offer it for free. And what agencies do, what a development agency will do is they will create a contract with the client post-launch, and that contract is considered a retainer. And what does that retainer do? It means the client is paying that agency a certain amount for the full year for them to maintain that website. And what it usually also includes, and that's what you can do with your creative work, is the option to add new features. So let's take the example of the website further. If a client comes to you and they ask you for a website and you've created that website for them, the chances that they're going to come back and need something from you again are very high. And usually those things happen pretty regularly too. They will need optimization. Users might notice a bug on the website. It might not even be your fault. It might be something that comes up because technology has changed and then the website needs an update. It might be an app on the website that needs an update and isn't working properly. These things come up all the time, and it's easier for the client to book a retainer with you and they can come to you whenever they want and get you to do those services for them. Then for them to come to you, they ask you how much is it going to cost, and you have to tell them. You have to think about how much time that's going to take, calculate a cost, and it's just a lot of work, not only for you but also for your client, and everyone just kind of has to talk about the thing for a long time for it to happen. What a retainer does is it simplifies all of that. So what does a retainer look like? Typically, a retainer is going to be capped to a certain number of hours. So I'm going to use our examples. Our clients often book 10-hour retainers with us. What does that mean? It means per month they can use up 10 hours of work with us. Often it's development work, but we also use this for design work too. Why? Because sometimes there are small design tasks that just don't make sense to make a whole project scope out of. Some examples of that could be maybe they already have a branding, maybe they already have packaging, and maybe they want to add icons to that branding. Are you going to set up a whole project scope just to add icons? You could, or you could have a design retainer with them. Then they can come to you whenever they need something done. Another example could be there's someone added to the team, they have the business cards already made, and they need you to update the business card for that person that was added to the team, and you can do that for them. Other things could also be maybe the client needs presentations made regularly, and they come to you to do that once a month or every other week. And those are services that you can offer within a retainer. They're so small that it doesn't make sense in terms of the efficiency of creating a project scope, getting that contract approved, for you to do that every single time the client comes to you for a small thing. So it's important when you create a retainer to define the scope. We usually define the retainer within the scope of the number of hours available to the client per month. And then we also define it further by what type of tasks and what kind of requests can the client make and what falls within the scope of the retainer. That is super important because you don't want to start doing redesigns or really high value work within a retainer. What do I mean by high value work? Anything that involves a lot of creative thinking, strategic thinking, things that you would usually do when you're doing a rebranding or a redesign. That kind of work shouldn't fall under a retainer. Why? Mainly just because for those things I would usually recommend offering a value-based price because the value of that work is so much higher than what your hourly rate probably is, and it just is more fair to you to offer that in a different project scope. And it's just more fair to you to offer that under a value-based price rather than an hourly-based price. Another thing that is important to think about when you're creating a retainer is the billing period. So I'm going to go into the benefits of a retainer for you in a second, but the reason why you need a billing period is that a retainer means that the client is buying your services upfront for a certain number of hours or within a certain scope for a certain period of time. Big agencies usually have yearly retainers. In some cases, they even have retainers that go over multiple years, and these retainers may not even be called retainers. They might call them contract, and the company is required to come to the agency for all of their creative work, and they're not allowed to go to another agency. A lot of the times there are contracts like that in place, but essentially what it is a retainer, and often in a lot of cases companies pay a certain amount upfront for that retainer to take effect and for the agency to offer their time for a period of a year, 2 years, 3 years. For us, our retainers are usually monthly, and in some cases we do also bill yearly. Obviously it's up to you and your client which billing period makes the most sense, but obviously anything under a month wouldn't even count as a retainer anymore, in my opinion. So what are the big benefits of a retainer? First, let's talk about how a retainer benefits you and your company. So a retainer benefits you mainly financially. Why? Because it means you are billing a full amount of hours upfront, as in 10, 20, maybe even more than that, before you've even done the work. And the thing that is super beneficial about that is that you can stabilize your income and you can plan your finances for the whole year much easier than if you were to do the work and bill after, because you're never going to know how many hours you're actually going to work when you do it that way. But if you've already billed the client 20 hours, you are obligated to fulfill that contract and you're going to work those 20 hours. It doesn't only benefit you financially, but it also benefits you in terms of your time management, because you know you have 20 hours allocated to that person and that's going to be used up within the period that you have created your retainer. You are obligated to do the work defined by the retainer and the number of hours that you defined in that contract with your client. Another benefit, and this is probably the thing I feel most strongly about when we create retainers, is to do it with a client that you enjoy working with. Obviously, the money is great. It's stable income. Your time management is easier because you know the work is going to be there. But another thing you want to think about is you want to be working with clients that you enjoy working with, because a retainer is a commitment. You are committing to the client that you have that availability for them whenever they need it. And they are going to come to you pretty regularly with things that they need you to do. And you don't want to be doing that with a client you don't like. I'm going to say this though, typically a client you don't like probably doesn't like you very much either, and they're unlikely to book a retainer with you. But be mindful about who you're booking a retainer with and how long it's going to be. You obviously want to do that with people you are prepared to work with for that period. And the final thing I'm going to talk about in this video are the benefits for your client. So a retainer doesn't only benefit you, it also benefits your client. Why? Probably the biggest thing for them is that your availability is guaranteed. They have paid you up front, meaning you are obligated to fulfill those hours, that scope for the period of time they booked you for. So when they come to you, it doesn't matter when it is, obviously within your business hours, you are obligated to make time for them. You are obligated to plan for the tasks they need you to do and to do them in a timely manner. Usually retainers have things like how long does it take for you to create whatever they ask for? What is the turnover time once they've made a request? And those are things to remember too when you create a retainer, that if that's in the contract, you are obligated to provide that service the way that it's stated in the retainer. For us, we typically state that things will be done within a week, 2 weeks, depending on the level of effort, and of course minus holidays and weekends. The other big benefit besides that your work is guaranteed for the client is that they have no surprises when it comes to the cost. A lot of the times clients don't feel good about buying creative services because they are worried about what the final cost is going to be. That's why a lot of clients actually like project-based pricing, because it means it's a fixed price and they know they're going to get a certain amount of work for that price. And a retainer is very similar because they know, okay, I'm booking 10 hours with this person, so I'm going to get 10 hours of work out of them. And in our experience, it actually eliminates a lot of the discussions that will happen otherwise, where they ask you, how long do you think this is going to take? All our clients that are under retainer never ask those questions. They assume it's going to take a certain number of hours. They usually can assess the level of effort already because they have worked with you in the past. Again, retainers are usually things that happen with clients that you have worked with before, and they already know your process and they already know how long things are going to take. They're also very open to the communication about things taking longer, level of effort, and those are the kinds of clients you want to have. The other thing that is super beneficial to them is the full transparency of everything. So I always recommend, if you're going to offer a retainer, that you set up some kind of a project management system where clients are able to add tasks and assign them to you, and they can see the progress, they can see how long it's taking you, and they feel like they are in the loop. A lot of the times clients are also scared about buying creative services because they don't know what's going on the other end. And when they're buying things up front and they haven't actually received anything yet, it is even more important to be super transparent about your process and keeping them in the loop at all times. Thank you for listening to this video. If you enjoy our content, please subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and don't forget to check out our business course, Creative Business Essentials, which is linked in our profile and in the description below for more extensive content on how to run a creative, successful business.